Now let's dive into our featured story of the day. 2.2 million Bitcoin in play. Ultra bullish Bitcoin prediction voiced by the one and only high priest of the Biddy, Max Keiser. So we're going to break down this brand new article, but let's first start with the tweet which sparked it. Bitcoin is unique in the world and history of money and finance, and that by definition there is and can never be a single point of failure. It doesn't matter how much Bitcoin MicroStrategy buys, now known as Strategy B, they can never change the protocol, they can never change the Bitcoin protocol. In fact, they favor protocol obfuscation. Game theory has not kicked in yet. 100% guaranteed it will. 2.2 million Bitcoin in play. And this is coming from the bishop of Bitcoin himself, the one and only high priest, Max Keiser. This was posted this morning at 9:30 a.m. You can see the timestamp, March 19th. Already got close to 17,000 views. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the high priest. You already know he coined the term game theory as well, I should say the global hash war, and made it very popular amongst the discussion in this space. So you got to give credit where credit is due. Back when everybody wrote off the United States and countries ever adopting Bitcoin, central banks, governments around the world, Max said no, they're going to, because they're going to have to. In fact, he predicted everything which is taking place right now, which is pretty remarkable. Now, the Bitcoin libertarian put, Bitcoin is unstoppable. The game theory is just beginning. And I agree with that. I believe when the true game theory kicks in, Bitcoin's going to be experiencing God candles, Omega candles, like it ain't no thing. And also more recently, this was actually published back in December. For the first time, Max Keiser upped his target from 220,000 to 2.2 million in play. But let's start with the most recent publication. And again, shout out to the high priest, Max Keiser. He revealed that no single or several entities can control Bitcoin regardless how much they buy. Because someone, a lot of Bitcoiners will say, or people in the space, what if Michael Saylor buys all the Bitcoin and he doesn't leave any for us plebs? Oh no. Well, the Bitcoin advisor referred to Michael Saylor's strategy China as the example, as I just referenced. The company has been regularly purchasing the world's pioneer in crypto since 2020. They were the first publicly traded company to put a Biddy on a balance sheet. Now they hold close to 500,000 BTC, and they recently rebranded from MicroStrategy to Strategy B, with B being the Bitcoin symbol. And I already read you the high priest's recent tweet right here on why he believes Bitcoin is going to 2.2 million. And yesterday, make sure you watch the pod. If you didn't, you could go back and check it out. But we discussed the game theory and global hash war between the United States and Russia. And Max is ultimately saying there can only be one Bitcoin superpower in the form of a nation, and it could be the United States if Trump goes all in on Bitcoin. But if they don't, it could be Russia, it could be China, it could be the UAE. And also keep in mind, Bukele already got the first mover's advantage with El Salvador, but they are a small nation. They only have just above 6,000 Bitcoin. So just to put that into perspective, Michael Saylor has 500,000 Bitcoin. BlackRock has over 600,000 Bitcoin, etc. You feel me? But anyways, the Bitcoin advisor Keiser has once again mentioned the ultra bullish prediction for the Biddy price, and he has had several times made this earlier, dating back to December, as I shared with you. 2.2 million in play. He insisted Bitcoin is unique in the world and history of money, in which it is, since by definition there is no place even for a single failure in the way Bitcoin works. Never once has the network gone down, and it is the most secure network at securing data to ever exist in human history. Also keep that in mind. Thanks to the genius mind of the one and only Satoshi Nakamoto, Keiser expects the game theory to kick in 100%. Therefore, Bitcoin, he says, is likely to reach that 2.2 million target in the future without specifying any specific month or time frame. So you guys let me know what you think. When 2.2 million? By this Bitcoin game theory, Keiser may imply further adoption by nation states in the future and more institutions and states admitting Bitcoin as a reserve asset. So for example, let's break this down a little further. You know how Michael Saylor at the White House Crypto Summit on the 7th, a couple of weeks back, he proposed Trump buy anywhere from, I think it was 1 million to 5.5 million Bitcoin. Well, let's hypothetically say the United States decides to just go all in and do the 5 million Bitcoin, which would be roughly 25% of the circulating supply. Well, Russia's not going to be able to do the same thing. So it's very important The timing is of utmost importance and significance right now for which nation is going to adopt the most Bitcoin. Because behind closed doors, all the nations must be having this conversation, central banks, etc. So you already know. And so far, the big step in adoption has been taken by the new U.S. president's administration, and they have begun forming the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. Recently, Trump signed that executive order to make this happen, and Bitcoin will be solo for the Strategic Reserve. They separated the other altcoins, which I believe is Cardano, XRP, Ethereum, and there may be one other I'm forgetting. But nonetheless, they're going to be in the strategic digital asset stockpile for the United States. And the U.S. does already hold 200,000 BTC. But my understanding is Bitfinex owns 100,000 of those Bitcoin currently in the U.S. government's possession. This is according to Samson Mao, who really understands behind Bitfinex and what's really going on there. So what this really means is the United States isn't the current Bitcoin superpower. Put that into perspective. Is it, what did I say, South Korea or North Korea? It's North Korea. North Korea holds about 200,000 Bitcoin due to their Lazarus group, which is always stealing, however, these hackers steal the Bitcoin like they recently did with the Bybit exchange. It was like a $1.4 billion hack. So the United States isn't really even the largest Bitcoin holder when it comes to nation state adoption. And now South Korea is entertaining Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, China, Russia, etc. The UAE more recently announced that Abu Dhabi has like about a $500 million sovereign wealth fund of Bitcoin. So think of all the smart money, the whales, the sovereign wealth funds, the pension funds, the states, the state adoption. More than half the states of the U.S. is already moving towards Bitcoin adoption as well, whether strategic Bitcoin reserve, etc. So very bullish times, and that's why I bring all of this up. But you guys, let me know your thoughts. Where do you feel the pre-low biddy is likely to go? Do you think game theory hasn't even begun yet? And do you think we'll realistically hit 2.2 million, potentially even, for this cycle? Let me know your thoughts, and I'll read your comments out loud. And again, welcome everyone joining the Q&A segment of the live stream. J-Pal should be speaking right now, so we'll see. No China, bang, bang. I like the word game. I like the word theory. Game theory is a great term. I have a Bitcoin theory. I win because I have some. I love that. I have a FOMO for the USA. Side note, there's only 1.5 million Bitcoin left to mine. 1.1 million. The original Satoshi wallets never moved. 3.6 million estimated permanently lost equals 14 million in circulation. So 33% of all the available Bitcoin. Who's selling? Good point there. Supply shock incoming. You ain't seen nothing yet. Figured out I went the wrong route. So I got with JV and the Biddy fam and went all out. Amen. Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and end the YouTube transmission, but we're going to continue the stream on X and Rumble. So if you're on YouTube, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the frick out of here.